Very good. Live streaming is started. Let's see how many people are there. People are coming. Today we have a very interesting topic that is related to noise, and we are very lucky that today we have my brother, my friend, and senior expert of industrial hygiene specialist, certified safety professional, certified industrial hygienist, very kind man and very caring, who always support people in learning. And currently he is working in Saudi Arabia. Before he was working with us here in UAE. And I don't want to waste the time. And I'm going to request and welcome my dear brother Saleh Katbi for the wonderful session on noise. So here we go. Let's welcome Maulam Saleh Katbi. Welcome, Saleh. Thank you very much for your time. And we really feel valued that you spare some time for our people. So the floor is yours. And please introduce yourself and start.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this introduction and for inviting me for such caring, let us say, task for the others, for the development of the people who are working in the EHS or HSE or safety and health. And I think in the area of industrial hygiene, whenever I have a chance to introduce this concept or this career, as you have introduced, I'm certified safety professional, CSP, which is very knowledgeable in the area of safety. But in the area of industrial hygiene, I'm certified industrial hygienist, which I feel it is very poorly introduced or known in the area of health and safety, especially in the what we expect to have it in the oil and gas and GCC, but unfortunately it's very scarcity in this certification or this discipline in general. Anyway, I think it's very good to have some networking for the health and safety professionals and to cooperate in the area of any area of health and safety. And since you gave me the floor, I'll just say a few words about the industrial hygiene, because lots of people, they have some confusion. Even safety professionals, they don't know exactly what is the industrial hygiene or occupational hygiene, which is, I feel, it's very, very important for all health and safety to know about it. The industrial hygiene or occupational hygiene, it is both the same. In the industrial hygiene, this is the term usually used in the States, while in Europe or the rest of the world, they say occupational hygienist. And we are mainly very specialized in the area of health-related safety hazards, physical hazards, chemical hazards, biological hazards, ergonomic hazards, psychosocial hazards. So a very wide spectrum of risks and hazards related to health. And mainly it is related to a long-term effect of these hazards. When we talk about the physical hazards, we are talking about the noise, vibration, radiation, heat. All these are, we call it physical hazards, and part of the physical hazard we'll be talking about the noise. Noise is very, very important, and I feel it is maybe it's number one in oil and gas or in general in the industries. It is the number one hazards that needs to be addressed from the management, and most of the time it is overlooked because the people, unfortunately, they will not realize that they have the effect of noise until it is too late. Unfortunately. So I feel there is very, very importance of raising this topic and to start to address it and to feel committed as health and safety professionals if there is any hearing loss in affecting our colleagues or friends or anyone working under health and safety where we are working, we should feel that we should do something, and failure in that, it should be push us to work toward preventing further loss. I will just do some like overview of what is the hearing loss and what is the expectation from the health and safety professionals when it comes to noise and noise-induced hearing loss and the hearing conservation program. And after that, I will prepare to have it like interactive session, and I will answer some questions if there is a questions from Qadir or from anyone who would like to have answers for the questions. First of all, hearing loss because of noise, it will not happen if we are not exposed to noise. As simple as that, with exception in certain conditions which will be coming to. So when we talk about any source of noise, we should think of, we expect to have the people getting the hearing loss because of that source of noise. But what type of noise or how to handle it, simply I will say it in the sequence of what is expected from health and safety professionals, how to address the hearing conservation program in very simplistic way. Imagine that I'm a health and safety professional. I was allocated or I was assigned to look at health and safety of the people working under me or in my side. What I expect to do is to do like walkthrough, to visit every single corner, every single part of my area, and not only for the area, but also to list the tasks and to identify out of these tasks what are the areas or tasks that it generate noise. And we have different level of noise. We have low noise, moderate, or high. What we are concerned about, it is the noise that can cause hearing loss, and not any noise is causing hearing loss. Noise in general, we define it as the unwanted sound we don't like. So maybe I will say humming, for example. What is the noise level? It is low noise, but it's annoying, and maybe this can cause annoyance. It may make me anger, but it will not cause me hearing loss, which is not the talk that we are covering in this. Although it is in health and safety, yes, we might concern. We have some air conditioning units which can cause very annoying noise, but when we measure, it's not the one going to affect our hearing. So when we talk about hearing conservation, we are focusing about hearing. What might cause a health effect related to hearing? How to tell if I did, for example, I identify what are the areas that we expect to have a noise, but how to tell if it is the one which we need to be listed as the hearing loss area or source. When I do the walkthrough, simply there is a rule of thumb. If you are talking to your colleague, the one who's walking with you, next to you, one arm length, and you talk to him normally, and after that, if you reach the area where you have a noise and you need to raise your voice, most probably this is the noise above 80, and we start saying yes, 80, 85, any area that we suspect. If I need to raise my, if I need to shout, this means about 90. But if I need to raise, it's most probably about 80 or 85. So I will list it as the area of concern, as a preliminary point of identified sources. Once I finish the walkthroughs, the areas of and tasks where we have high noise, we need to do measurement in order to identify exactly what is the level of noise. And we have a simple device we call sound level meter. We'll take this device and we'll go to the areas on tasks where we have a high noise, and we'll do the measurements. And we might have next to each area or tasks, we can say, okay, for example, drilling, we have the noise, it's 90, we have 85, we have 87, we have in abrasive wheels, when we do the cutting, whatever it is 95, 95, 98, etc. What we are concerned is whenever we have above 85, it is a concern, but there is little important, or there's importance to understand this point. When we talk the hearing loss, we are talking about exposure to 85 decibel for 8 hours. So for example, if you have an area that will generate noise, but it is 85, but this area, for example, it is fence. Imagine if we have a chillers or source of noise, and within that area there was, when we did the measurements, it was range from, for example, 80 to 85 or 90, whatever it is. But when we do the measurements, we find that it is maximum hours or time the people they spend inside is, for example, by the mechanical engineers when they do some check, whatever it is, and it's only for a few minutes. So this is not expected to have a problem, because again, when we talk about noise, we are talking about equivalent to 85 decibel for 8 hours. If we are talking about, for example, more time, for example, some people, they are working for 12 hours and maybe continuous. This means that we need to reduce the noise to less than 85, and our reference will be different. And we have simple equations we need to do for the calculating equivalent to what? If it is less, for example, and we call it doubling for the noise equivalent noise, when we are talking about 85, and if we are working for 4 hours, so is it going to affect us if we are exposed 4 hours for 85 noise? No. So what is the limit now? The limit now, it will change by, we call it doubling factor. So if you reduce the time by half, this means that we can be exposed up to 88. We increase 3 decibels, and it will be our new. So for 4 hours, it is 88 instead of 85, and accordingly. So in principle, after we identify the source of noise, we identify where are the areas of high noise that is concerned. We'll check who's working, because again, very important for us. We are not concerned about high noise as absolute value. We are concerned about the human. So our drive is the human, not the machines, not the sound, the noise as it is. But we are talking about the interaction between the person and his surrounding. And if the noise, and no one is exposed to that noise, we will not be concerned. We are concerned when there is exposure to this noise. So this is in general. Once we identify the area, once we identify that, yes, we have people and they need to be protected, we need to list them down, and we'll say, guys, you are 5 or 6, whatever it is, you are exposed to noise. We need to give you a training. It's very important to understand why we ask you to have the hearing protection, because it's you. And the owner of our company will not be affected by noise, but you are the one who will be suffering. So it's, again, if you are cooperating with us, and this is our commitment as health and safety professionals, to help you to leave our company with the full capacity of your health. But if you are not taking care of yourself, no one will be suffer but you. So we identify these people, we give them the training, and in the training we have very important components to the training, not to make sure that the people, they know exactly what do we mean and what's the impact, because lots of, again, misconceptions about the hearing loss and about the people, they say, yeah, I'm used to this noise, etc. It is actually no, the damage is already affecting you. So we have lots of contents of the training. This is very important, and we need, as health and safety professionals, whenever there is a source of noise, we need to know what is the baseline for the people who are exposed to this noise. Simply because we need to know if we are effective in protecting the people's health. So this year, at the beginning of before starting the people working with us in the noise area, we know what is the baseline. We know what is the audiogram. Audiogram is the test which shows how the hearing equity or the hearing efficiency of these people working with us. This will be very, very important to know exactly. And every year we start seeing if there's any change in the audiogram on the hearing test. And accordingly, we'll say, yes, we are controlling this in a good way, or if we have a problem and we need to do more and we need to control it. When we identify the high noisy area, as we mentioned, we need to take actions other than training and educating the people and doing the hearing test. We need also to provide the hearing prevention, and we need to do the hearing protection. Usually, we need to do two actions. One, it is related to short term, which is simply by providing the hearing protection devices. And we should ignore other on the long term. If we already have high noisy area because of the generators, for example, we bought, and it's not easy to again bring another device or another generator, we might have control measures, and in this we will follow the same hierarchy of controls whenever we have the health or safety controls. We start with elimination. Not able, we'll go for the reduction and engineering control, administrative control, or at the last and least preferable choice is the PPE. When we are talking about PPE, we are talking about two types of hearing protection, which is plugs or muffs. Muffs is the one which is covering our complete ears. It will seal and will prevent us from this high noise and annoying noise. But when we are talking about the plugs, it's the one we insert inside our ear canal. So this in general, and on the long run, we need to introduce the concept of buy quiet. This is, for example, if you have a new generator, you need to buy, go for the concept and strategy of buy quiet equipment or machines or requirements for that area. Taking into consideration that if you have already source of noise and you need to introduce to the same area another machine, you need to count for the existing machine. For example, if you have already a generator which is having the, for example, 85 decibel source of noise, when you bring another device with 85, what is the result of having two next to each other machines? It will not be 85 plus 85. No, it will be 85 plus 85. In the logarithmic scale, there's equations, but simply we can use add 3 decibels, so it will be coming 88 decibels. So this means that it's already having higher level of noise for both machines. This is in general. Just I conclude in about 15 minutes, and I will leave for the questions related to hearing conservation and what's the expectation from this presentation.
Thank you, Malam Saleh. Very nutshell, very brief, but very important information you shared with us, because noise is the thing which is annoying us. Noise is something which is unpleasant. Noise is something which was distraction. So sometimes when I teach people, I said, what do you mean by sound and what do you mean by the noise? Mainly people say what we listen is sound and what we don't like to listen is a noise. So it's a simple common parlance. So I said, give me the example of noise. One of my jolly friends says, the voice of my wife. I don't want to hear too much her because she is talking too much, though she is my wife, but any sound I don't like. Like you have given us very nice example, like sometimes we are delivering the training and some students are whispering in the ear of somebody else, it distracts you. So this is also a noise. So noise is not only the hearing loss, there are some other associated hazards. To make it more useful your time, I would like to know that why we should do noise assessment. What is the reasons? How it will help us?
Okay, noise assessment is, as we mentioned, is related to measuring and to know exactly what is the noise level that we are dealing with, and accordingly we can take the appropriate actions. So if the noise, for example, above 85, and we might do some controls. If it is more than 8 hours, the people, for example, working there for 8 hours, we need to put a signage. We'll say anyone who is getting to that area, he needs to have hearing protection. We know that it's, for example, for 5 or 10 minutes or 1 hour, 2 hours, it will not affect the hearing. But as a rule of thumb, any area where we have noise above 85, it is to be with the precautions, with the hearing protection, etc. And when we do the noise assessment, we so many contents, and this is not a technical session or detailed technical session, because again, in the noise assessment we look at what is the noise, and sometimes we do further analysis for the noise frequency or the source of noise, and we have certain type of tools in order to know exactly what type of noise that we are dealing with, and accordingly in order to select the appropriate protection. When we do the noise assessment, we identify what type of noise and what is the let us say the monster we are dealing with. Higher noise means that more protection we need to take, and accordingly we'll take the decision. For example, we'll take the decision for example, having engineering controls. The area will have just, for example, bumpers, or we'll have insulation, isolation, remote or isolate the people, or different techniques in order to prevent the 8 hours for above 85 or 85 equivalent for 8 hours. So this is very important in order to take the appropriate decision for what action we need to take whenever we have a high noise. And also in the noise assessment, it will help us sometimes to answer the question. If we have people who came to you as health and safety professional, and he say, during my annual leave, I went to the doctor and he told me you have hearing loss, and the company, they have they didn't provide me with the protection, and I will sue the company, or I will raise at least When you do the assessment, also you check, and we should be very positive when we do the investigation. We need to be honest with ourselves and in front of Allah, and we need to have the appropriate evaluation. This is again the right of people. We're supposed to do lots of things, but things might happen. When we do the assessment, we will look, okay, tell us where what type of job you are doing, and you'll do the analysis. I'll say, yes, this guy, yes, he is a welder, he's working here and there. We provide him with this training, we provide, etc. It will help us in make like anatomy of the incident. This happened, and what might go wrong. We shouldn't ignore the working environment, and accordingly we can do the assessment for, is the working environment sufficiently cause him hearing loss? And very important point, I will refer to OSHA, and for the safety professional to understand this is very important. Maybe this is unfortunately not the same in GCC or other countries, but this is the correct concept, and we need to adapt. When you do the assessment, in order to say if it's work-related, non-work-related, you need to do the assessment based on the actual exposure and the potential exposure of this guy when he worked in the routine scenarios. So the question is, when you do the hearing loss root cause analysis or noise assessment for the exposure, etc., you'll say, okay, this guy during the day, it is not every day equivalent, every day is different, but you can do some evaluation, and you can give another important tool. We use it for the different level of noise. We call it noise dosimeter. The device for evaluating what is the noise level, we call it sound level meter, which is for this machine generate this level of noise. But when we do the individual assessment, we have like a small microphone. We'll hang it in the area away from the the mouth, or it's again, we can put it on in this area, and we will hang it for 8 hours or during the shift, and we will see this exposure equivalent to 85 or not. We cause it what is the noise dose. If it is 100, means that he already reached the 85 decibel for 8 hours. And sometimes you'll have not 100, you will have 1,000. 1,000. Is it possible to have those 1,000? Yes, Mike. And when we do the assessment, we don't count if we provide or we didn't provide the hearing protection. Okay, so when yes, you might provide, you might give it training, everything, but when we do the assessment for again, as per OSHA, I'm talking about, if you are exposing the employee to 85 decibel and above, you are again counted as the source of the noise that might, although maybe he's having a disco afternoon, and where he exposed to very high noise from the concerts he attended, or he's having lots of parties. Maybe he's a singer or DJ guy. And yes, it's noise, but it's not noise from us. But in our, it should be very clear. He might having, and if we have annual hearing protection program, we will catch this before reaching the hearing loss that can cause disability. This is why we have also the annual hearing loss. It's again, we spend money to protect our company and to protect the people. And if there's as such, conditions, we can earlier detect before it's aggravated to disability. And after that, we'll say, yeah, it's not from us or from us, whatever it is.
Very useful information and very nice way of presentation. Saleh, the next question, as you said, that a music for you can be a noise for me, and whisper for me can be a noise for you. So noise is not a simple thing. We have to consider it. We have to do noise assessment, and we have to be very careful, because this is the one of the health hazard which is very personal to us. The extent is, God forbid, if you are losing the hearing loss, you cannot hear the voice of your kid. If you are hearing the loss, go and see the old people due to some age or due to the impact of their previous history. When they become deaf and they cannot listen, there's a huge loss to the people. Yes, sir, you want to say something?
Yes, very interesting point you have raised is that when I talk, for example, my voice could be a noise for you, or yes, noise is unwanted sound. This is number one. Number two, it is if it is equivalent to 85, even if it's music that I like, and for me it's not noise. No, it is noise if it is above 85 for 8-hour equivalent. So it is both. Maybe I like it, but this is still noise. In all definitions, we need to count it, even if I like this high sound or very trance or whatever. It's still we consider noise, and accordingly we need to count it as noise. Just also to mention, you have mentioned when you get older and you will have a hearing loss. This remind me of also distinguish between the age-related hearing loss, which is everybody might be affected, and we have the hearing loss because of noise. As professionals, we can tell from the audiogram. When we look to the audiogram, we can tell if this noise-induced hearing loss or age-related hearing loss. But we have some interferences, or we might have, and this is what I mentioned, other factors other than sound or noise that can cause. Yes, we have chemicals which might cause hearing loss, and we call it ototoxic chemicals. And currently in industrial hygiene, we have a very important book called ACGIS annual TLD book. And in that, we have introduced as industrial hygienists, as industrial hygiene, we have OTO, ototoxic chemicals. Currently, we have 2 chemical listed. We have toluene and we have xylene. If you are dealing with these chemicals, it might cause hearing loss. Certain medication can cause hearing loss, and other, for example, injury could cause hearing loss.
Excellent. This was my next question, that what are the factors other than noise which may cause hearing loss? So you talk about the chemicals, you talk about, I think you talk about the chemicals, I think you talk about the chemicals, injuries, yeah. Can you spend some time on this, sir, please?
Okay. Actually, I explained it. We have the injury. If you have head injury, for example, it might. We have certain chemicals, and the chemical, as we mentioned, we in the industrial hygiene, we have list in the TLD annual book. We've started seeing the OTO abbreviation. We have other abbreviation like for skin sensitizer or respiratory sensitizer or carcinogen. Now we have another abbreviation, OTO, ototoxic chemicals. And the chemicals, we have long list of chemicals, but the one which is very known in the ototoxicity, we have the xylene and we have toluene. Also, we have certain medication. Some people, when they use certain medication, it can cause them hearing loss, like tetracycline or a different type of chemical. I don't need to mention the technical names, but we have certain medications known to cause hearing loss. And besides the age is another factor. With we are getting older, the hearing or hair cells, the one we have it in our hearing mechanism in the cochlea. We have very fine hair cells. It will start dying off, and it will with age we are losing more and more of these very tiny hair cells, and we will have hearing loss. But as I mentioned, we can distinguish actually when we have it related to heat, to noise, or if it's related to age mainly. But other factors, maybe it will be again not clearly identified. Yeah.
Thank you, Saleh. The one more thing, that noise-induced hearing loss, which is the term which we normally hear in noise health hazards. So it is saying that this is 100% preventable. So being an industrial hygienist, how much you support this statement, and what tips you can give us to follow or implement so that we can control noise-induced hearing loss?
Thank you. This is very, very important question, and this should be our driver for how to succeed. Is it preventable? Are the accidents preventable? 100%. And this is even easier because, again, we can clearly identify it and we can control it in a very easy, relatively easy way. It will not have, you will not have noise-induced hearing loss without noise. Okay, so if you control the noise, this means by default you are controlling your part. Sometimes we cannot. Sometimes we need to face this noise monster, and we need to handle it. We need to encounter this noise by having, again, education, training, and very, very important to get the buy-in from the people. What we have seen, lots of people, they fail in conveying the message for the people who are exposed to noise about the adoption of a good practices. Some people, they say, yes, we have a noise, but we provided the hearing protection, and this is the problem of the illiterate labor. This is their mistake. We are clear. No, actually, you are not clear. The first and basic principle of health and safety is that it's employer responsibility to identify and to make all the precautions need to be done before reaching the PPE. PPE is the last and least effective sort of controls, and we need to do our part before having this hazard. Okay, sometimes we have a noise, it's unavoidable. We need to get the buy-in by providing what works for the people. If you provide hearing protection that it is add heat stress, it's inconvenient to the people who are working in a very harsh environment. In Abu Dhabi, where you have, for example, above 85 humidity and temperature in the 30 plus degrees, which is equivalent to heat index is 50 plus, or sometimes it is again a very, very stressful condition. And you say, yeah, take this. And after that, when you even give it to him and he's having a hard hat, it's not matching. So he's not able to use it in an appropriate way. And you think you have done your part. No, actually, it's very, very important to consider the user. You should give options. You should give, when you do the assessment for the noise, you might get the people who are affected in the selection, in the appropriate selection of what suits. Some people, they say, yeah, we don't like the earplugs because this is, not a professional. We are a professional company. This is cheap. This is no. What works is the one we should go for. Which is better to use muffs or plugs? The answer is what works for you is the one to be used. What is the working environment should be counted. What is the other PPE used should be considered. What is comfortable for the people or convenient should be again adapted. We should consider, very, very important in certain conditions, especially when we have extremely high noise. When we are talking about 100 or 105 and above, sometimes we need to use double hearing protection. Sometimes if we provide the hearing protection and the people by default, when they reach during summertime, for example, even if it's at night, the people will start having high humidity and they're sweating, and they just, in order to remove the sweat, just put the hearing protection away, and they start doing like this or wiping their faces just for 1 minute or sometimes seconds, and seconds is sufficient to have the dose equivalent to 85 decibel for 8 hours. Don't underestimate the level of noise, even if it's short period. We have actually a very simple table. It shows that you can be exposed up to 85 for 8 hours without expecting to have hearing loss if you are working with this environment. But if it is, for example, as we mentioned, 88, you might be exposed up to 4 hours. 91 is up to 2 hours accordingly. And if you go down to this table, sometimes you'll find if you expose to 1 minute, 1 minute is sufficient to get the sufficient dose to cause hearing loss. So very, very important to get the buy-in from the people, and accordingly, when you take the decision for enforcing the hearing, you need to have the full package of hearing conservation program, identify the noise area, identify the people, give it training, and engage them in the annual hearing protection, and make sure that you have the annual training, refresher training for the people who are working, and to check if there's any dip or any change in the hearing test. We have lots of, failures for number of organizations when they are just do the hearing test and hearing, but when you ask them, okay, do you know exactly where is the current hearing loss? He said, no, it's okay. We think it is within normal. No, it's not only to say within normal. We should compare this result with the previous test. Even if it's within normal, we didn't reach the peak, yes, but if we have starting this year, it is not having hearing loss, but it's again going for the next year. I can guarantee if you go for the same practice, you will have again recordable case. Don't wait for that. make the informed decision, give education to the people, let the people take hobby, and make it like a routine culture of when you do the hearing test. Let the people take this test and let them themselves compare it over years, and let them ask the doctor or the technicians who conducted the hearing test, okay, what does it mean and what does it mean, and to show the previous year. So let the culture is improved in order to have a good culture for controlling and to preventing the noise-induced hearing loss. By this, you can say, okay, I've done as health and safety what I'm supposed to do. This is the duty of care or due diligence. Otherwise, you should feel that I need to do more.
Great. Very interesting information, Saleh. Really, it is a good refresher, but I'm learning new things as one of the health and safety learner, because I always keep learning, and it's a really a great chance for us to have you with us, and we are learning many things. The good thing is this: the next question which I'm going to ask, you are already in the queue. So the one thing interesting was, being a HSE professional, we are always being debate which hearing protection is good, earplug or ear muff. So today in our discussion, we learn that anything that suits you, earplug or ear muff, is better. The reason is, it is up to the end user. If he will not use it, like we have some constraint, like you said, I want to wash my forehead and I have an air muff, so I have to remove it, I have to make relax. So this will be the point where I may have an exposure which may have a very severe impact, and that will cause hearing loss. So again, the most important part for us here is the way you want to use it, the way you want to own it. Because unfortunately, PPE is the last line of the defense and is the weakest control, because it relies on behavior. It does not rely on engineering solutions or some other controls. My next question is very interesting, because most of us, we do noise surveys, but we don't know about noise mapping and noise modeling. I'm just giving it a little touch of software because we are living in era of IT. So if you have any input, I would love to hear it from you, because you are the man of knowledge and you are doing all these things. So noise survey, modeling, mapping, how they will help HSC professionals to do a proper calculations on the noise readings and support the organization to build a proper safe execution of the work plan or procedure.
Thank you for this question. But before jumping to this advanced question, I will answer simple, again, very important for us as health and safety to know. Whenever we do the noise analysis or we measure the noise, based on the noise also, when we select the hearing protection, we need to select the one which suits the level of noise. And we have a simple term, we call it noise reduction rate. This means that you need to use the hearing protection which suits the level of noise. Too much protection means that isolation of the worker, and accordingly we will end up with another big health and safety hazards called lack of awareness, situational awareness. The people, they'll start hitting the other equipments, and they'll lose their again understanding of the surroundings. So we shouldn't protect the people more than what is needed, and we shouldn't also underprotect the people and expose them. We thought that yes, it is again protected, and when you check the people, they didn't use whatever they are provided with inappropriately. So the concept is that when we select, as you mentioned, there are so many steps in order to make sure that whatever we have is good in controlling the hazards. I will add to that, when we are talking about the hearing protection, we need to sometimes look at the frequency generated from the source of noise. We have a noise, we have the level of noise, we measure how much the high or low noise, higher noise or low noise, and sometimes we'll say, okay, what is the frequency that associated with that noise? And accordingly, sometimes the hearing protection, it suits this or that. And sometimes we have seen some practices, the people, they are putting, for example, the hearing protection or muffs, and while they have the balaclava or they have the hoods for the heat, etc., if it's not going to have appropriate seal, it will not have appropriate protection. Some people, they have long hair also, it's again having the problem. If they have big ears, small ears, etc. So the concept is that it's not just to provide, it's again, you need to make sure that the people, and there are some lots of technical issues related to the selection, and it's not sufficient within 1 hour to capture and to cover all aspects of hearing and noise and noise reduction and technicality of this. Going back to your question, modeling, and to be frank with you, I work with, in order to be industrial hygienist, we need to know lots of, calculations and lots of complicated. I believe I'm certified industrial hygienist, okay, but I believe we don't need to go to the complicated things. What works for us is simple. We have high noise. We need to know how much the maximum exposure. We need to protect the people, and etc. Some people, they say, yes, it's very important. Sometimes, yes, during the, for example, in the engineering, when we buy the new equipment, we need to make sure that we are by the quiet, and we need to know exactly what are the others. For example, if you are adding a pump next to other already existing pump, we can calculate, and we have also acoustic solutions, and we have, by the way, specialized. Whenever we have vibration, we have noise, we have specialized engineers. Sometimes we are approaching them for giving us advice. We call it acoustic engineers, and part of the civil engineers, they might have say whenever we have a probability of having noise-related machines or equipments. It's good if we have, yes, sometimes it will help to have very nice isoplots or diagrams shows our plan and what are the noise generated, and we can use certain software. We can have, for example, Noise at Work, one of the softwares we widely use in the industry. This is could help us in simulating and studying the working environment. What if introduce this level of noise? What is the area? And you can based on the software, you can see how your working environment will look and after finishing your installation and preparing your working area. So, but I refer again, if you as health and safety, it is not going to make a huge difference. Go to the basics. Try to solve it from the language of the layman language. Tell them what might affect them. Let them be aware of what is going to happen to them, and make it personal. Make it what's in it for me. Why you are giving me this protection, etc. So if they are, and whenever we have some human factor, we need to address it from psychological point of view. What's in it for me? We need to give them the message. It's you. You are the one who will be having hearing loss. You will not enjoy the music of your kids or grandsons when you go home, etc. No one else will be suffering from losing the noise to enjoy the nature, the whispering of the twittering of the birds or whatever it is. It's only you. So if you are not taking care of that, it's up to you. And we need to show that we are genuinely committed to help them, but at the same time, it is their responsibility to attend the training, to use the PPE, to report if there's any source of noise. Sometimes when we do the noise measurements and monitoring, we'll find no, everything is again within normal, less than 85, etc. But because of one of the compressors, there was again a maintenance requirement. It is again the noise have increased to instead of 80, now it is 90. So how will tell if we have a good culture? The employees, the laborers, the people working there, they will come and notify. It's good for quality, good for production, good for the people's health and safety. So it's a culture, again, very important to create it with the concept of helping others and helping ourselves.
Perfect, because I had some questions. So I was seeing that most of the people are very much interested to talk about the new technology. But I personally believe that let's make safety as a personal. Once you make safety and health and environment personal, you will see the changes because you own it. Once you own it, you follow it. Once you follow it, you will not have problems like hearing losses or hearing induced losses or any other chronic or acute hearing losses. So, taking an advantage of your time, I have some couple of questions from our friends. Maybe if I am not able to pronounce the word properly, you have to help me. The one of the question from one of our brother is, first of all people are very happy that you means we choose a noise as a topic. So I have a many great men of the knowledge and expert in my queue in the Facebook, and they are all thanking us for this topic. Now, there's a one question. What are the other aspects of industrial hygiene being considered at workplace? This is like a little bit away from the topic, but again, I will repeat it for your understanding. What are the other aspects of industrial hygiene being considered at workplace?
Okay. Maybe they missed the first part. I started with the concept of industrial hygiene and what are the topics. Actually, industrial hygiene, we have very important 5, big areas. We have physical hazards, where we have the noise, vibration, radiation, heat, and parametric pressure, whatever it is. This is related to physics and physical hazards. We have chemicals, the different type of chemicals. We have, again, if you talk about the shape of chemical gases or solid or liquid, or we have it as per the EPIC, we have carcinogen, we have mutagen, we have so many chemical hazards. We have biological hazards, and currently is COVID-19 is on the top of the all health and safety professionals. And in our company, actually, I'm having as industrial hygiene, I presume that we have very big role as industrial hygiene for advising the companies, and this is not only for our company, but this is across the world. We have ergonomics. Ergonomics is the interaction between the man and his surrounding within the workplace. And we have the psychosocial factors. So we have physical, chemical, biological, ergonomical, and psychosocial aspects. These are very big umbrellas, and the details for every single one, you might have a professor of, for example, noise reduction. You'll have professor of heat-related illnesses. You have professor. So we might have a specialist in one of these streams, or the either full branch, or the substream of these disciplines. So we have, as industrial hygiene or occupational hygiene, is wide and covering. And as I said in the beginning, I'm safety professional, certified safety professional from American Board of Safety Professionals. But I'm very passionate in the area of occupational hygiene, and I think it's again, it needs to be enhanced in the health and safety in general. And we have actually plenty of materials. It's free of charge. You can have self-learning. I'm graduated in local university in Jordan, but at the same time, I get the certification from the American Board of Industrial Hygienists. How I got this very high caliber certification while I was in Abu Dhabi, because again, I built my knowledge, and with the support, with a good support from colleagues from, for example, I will not forget, for example, the Canadian professor who attend our site to do occupational health risk assessment. And when we discussed I was very reluctant to go for certification in the area of industrial hygiene, because how to pursue this high level of certification when it is again is going to be in the States. And when I look to the website how to pass this exam, I open the page, and what is the equations I need to memorize or to understand, I say, oh, this is not for me. But when these gentlemen from Canada, from the States, they came and they have done the occupation risk assessment, when they discuss about some of the issues, and I found that some of this information, I have more information than the consultants for certain particularities. So it gave us confidence that no, even if we are from Middle East, from India, from China, from wherever we are not less than what they have. And I can tell, I see some of our colleagues from India or Pakistan or GCC countries, Egypt, Jordan, Syria. They are very competent, and I'm trying to push for the concept of improving the area. And currently, for example, I'm part of the Workplace Health Without Border. It is a very good organization, and I encourage all of the health and safety professionals. Workplace Health Without Border, WHWB. It is a very good concept introduced from Canada, and now it is everywhere, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, etc., in order to promote the concept of occupational health and hygiene. And by default, all the health and safety professionals, they are, amalgamated. But unfortunately, in the GCC, you'll have, again, 95.5 is safety, and you'll have 4.5 is health. So this is, unfortunately, this is the equation. But actually, we need to balance, and we need to give the long-term effect importance to the same what we are talking about, the short-term and importance. And I'm very lucky to work currently in the petrochemical industry, where we have 26 plants, and we have very, a huge spectrum of chemicals that we are addressing and we are controlling. And Aramco and Dow is very, very big industrial oil producer, and Dow it's well known in the chemicals. So in the area of industrial hygiene is very, very important for any industry, and the importance is coming from understanding the role and trying to play a very important role for protecting the people's health, not only in the short term, but also in the long term as well. So I hope I answered the question of what is the overall concept of the industrial hygiene or occupational hygiene.
Very well explained, and there's no doubt about it. And maybe you need years to speak. I know you cannot stop because God has given you good way of delivery. And the good thing is this, Umair Mahmood, I want to thank him to ask very nice question, a very strong question, though it was a little bit out of our session, but fantastic, very well explained. Now I have one more friend. His question is, Mr. Adnan Zafar, noise has acute and chronic health effect, which often is not given importance in the most of the construction site. So he's just discussing one point normally. This is not a question. The question is, what form of noise?
If you allow me, there is a very interesting point. I would like to comment on this. Very, very interesting. Also, there was no time to cover everything, but there is from Adnan. I thank him for this comment. We have in the noise, it's a long-term effect of noise. We might have the non-reversible hearing loss, but sometimes we have indications, and we need to look at these indications, which is reversible. What I understand from the question is that acute hearing loss. This is actually we have two terms. We have temporary threshold shift, and we have the standard threshold shift, means that permanent hearing loss. If we are working during the day, and if you imagine that you come to the work site, you are driving your car, and you have very nice radio level. And when you get out of your work and you start hearing as if there's a humming or noise is in your head, this is indication of high noise. And we might also raise the voice of the radio in order to hear what you used to hear without any struggle. But now when you go home, you raise this indication of again high noise, and it is luckily will be temporarily. Unfortunately, this is not going to be temporarily if it's going to happen every day. So I comment in this Adnan's point because this is very important to mention here, and I think this is good to be raised here as well.
MashaAllah, very good question. Some of the colleagues are asking, means our friends, that how much time we can spend for 85 decibels time of exposure for 85 decibel.
Okay, actually we have a table. We mentioned if we are in industrial hygiene, we have usually threshold limit value of time weighted average, or we have reference value. And the reference value and the threshold limit value means that you might be exposed to this level without expecting the adverse effect of that hazard if you are exposed for 8 hours for most of the people. Okay, when we come to the noise, it is 85 for 8 hours. So we are talking about the level of noise, and when we talk about the measurements of noise, we have under technical aspect, we have dBA and B and C, D, etc. But when we are talking about the hearing loss, we are talking about 85 decibel on the A spectrum or A filter for 8 hours. More time, for example, if it's more than 8 hours, we will be affected. So it might give us more than noise. And we have mentioned during the earlier discussion about we have a device which can give us, did we reach the dose for the noise for that day? And if we have this noise dosimeter, if it's reached 100, means that you are getting the exposure to noise which sufficiently can cause you hearing loss 85 and above. And sometimes we might do calculation, and we might have, for example, if it's 88 decibel, by having more than 3 decibels for this noise, we might be exposed up to 4 hours without expecting the impact or negative impact of hearing if we are just for 4 hours. When we introduce or we increase by 3 decibels, we should reduce the exposure time to half. This is what we call doubling value for the noise.
Okay, very well explained, Malam Saleh, because there are a couple of questions coming, and I don't want to.
Again, the time is complete. Otherwise, we might have another session, but I think.
Yes, I think we'll just conclude. There are a lot of questions which are here. Before we conclude, I just need to sum up because it's almost 1 hour and we have to finish the session. What is your advice to the fresh HSE professionals, people at middle level, and people at top level or corporate level to support the industrial hygiene and hearing conversation program?
Thank you for the question. The industrial hygiene is, again, one of the disciplines that it's aimed to prevent the ill health. And it's maybe the importance, I'm sure lots of companies, even if they don't have industrial hygienists or occupational hygienists, they are addressing, because again, health and safety is hand in hand. Even NIBOSH or NIOSH or all the certifications, again, it's not necessary to be occupational hygienist, but the concept of the occupational hygienist should be embedded and should be part of it. What I feel is very important is that when we deal with a human, it's very important to get the buy-in. And I'm keep repeating this. Culture is the most important, and the culture is to create the positive culture. It will, again, will increase the prevention and will prevent the illnesses, and it's very important to have a safe working environment. Without having a positive culture, we will not be able to succeed in health and safety, and will start hiding or blaming and will end up with nowhere or compromise. So it's very important, and when we do something related to the human, we need to get, especially when we need to get the buy-in of the people, we need to think of, we call it knowledge, attitude, practice. The knowledge, if you give them knowledge, it will create the attitude of the people toward this thing, positive or negative, and accordingly, it will enhance the practice, and the people will start again accepting this idea and will do it, or they feel that this is we should walk the talk. When we say yes, we are as health and safety professionals with you, we care about you as an employee, as worker, as a person. You are our colleague, you are the asset for the company, and after that we ignore their grievances or their concern, or we are not giving attention. We're providing them with defective devices. We leave them without having the sufficient knowledge or information. This will not end. So we need to get the buy-in. We need to also to be honest with ourselves when it comes, and we need when we do the do any type of service, we need to reflect in our reports to the management. We need to see exactly what's the actual conditions. We shouldn't hide. If we hide today, as tomorrow it will be again coming, especially for some of the long-term effects, and to keep escaping from the problem today. It's at the end it will come back, and with the advancement of the health and safety legislation, national and international, we need to think again. We cannot escape from affecting the people, even if we have some seasonal workers who's come and work for. Think after a couple of years, when you'll have maybe some cases will become through the court internationally, and will say, yes, this guy, he was working for you. So we need to think of again to do it genuinely, because this is a commitment, health and safety. And we also start. We need to think of the strategically for protecting ourselves and our reputation, our even for the cost from the litigations might be faced in the future as well.
Excellent. So far, so good. It has been a great session, and I really love to hear from you. And I think if we start, we cannot finish. And it's really fantastic. I have many couple of questions, and I have a queue of questions, which we are going to deliver in a proper way. And inshallah, I will prepare the list of the new topics. And if you have time, we'll come up with the plan, and we will have some more discussions with our people. And just to sum up from my side, though I'm not an industrial hygienist, but what I learned today, number one, let's make it health and safety as a personal. Let's believe in it. Let's change our attitude. Let's have a positive health and safety culture to ensure everybody goes home safe. So these are the sum up. And really, yes, Malam Saleh, you want to say something? Yes, please.
No, just I unmute the mic. So thank you very much for the session. And really, I'm passionate for the helping anyone who would like to build his career in health and safety, especially in the area of industrial hygiene. For safety, we have plenty of professionals like you and other colleagues, but especially for the area of industrial hygiene, especially in the GCC countries who would like to develop in that area. We have in Saudi Arabia, for example, American Industrial Hygiene Association, Arab Gulf local section. Also, we would like also to have the people to get connected and to support the implementation of the industrial hygiene programs. We have plenty of programs that we might enhance and introduce to the area. So we'd like to see lots of people to be developed and to build their career. We have, as I mentioned earlier, we have plenty of resources free of charge. If you go to OH Learning, if you put OH Learning and Google, you will have lots of courses. And these courses it is specialized for the occupational hygiene. We have noise, we have health effect of hazardous chemicals, we have assessment for health, we have introduction to occupational health and industrial hygiene, fundamental industrial hygiene, we have for ergonomics, we have number of courses. You'll have the material, we'll have the books, etc. And for myself, for example, I'm the director of the training for this means that I'm volunteers to supporting in the area of occupational health and hygiene. We delivered number of courses. Unfortunately, we don't have organization that is permanently here, but certainly I'm delivering the training related to occupational health and safety. And we would like to see more health and safety professionals taken as such a training. And this training will be, if you want to have a certificate, we have a test. You will get the test, and accordingly you will become again to build your career for becoming certified occupational hygienist or certified industrial hygienist.
It's really great honor to be with you today, Saleh. And I'm one of your students from today and onwards to learn occupational health and hygiene, because I'm a health and safety guy. So we are, as you said, 99.9% safety and 0.1% environment, but we don't know about occupational health. Today I learned a lot, and I hope our people have learned a lot. Due to the time constraint, we were not able to answer all the questions. So what I will do, I will try to make these questions. I will SMS you if you can just email you, so that just you can, if you put the responses, and then I will upload, or whoever want to ask, I can share with them, so that a continuous learning will be there. And being your colleague, your brother and friend, I really appreciate your time, and we pray for your success and career, and we look forward to have more sessions with you, and we will be supporting you from here, and inshallah we will be supporting your association, being a member of 11 international organization and organizations in training, occupational learning, and HSC in environment. One area of public health. I'm also a fellow member of Royal Society of Public Health, but definitely I learned a lot from you, and I will be your member in your hygienist association to learn more, and definitely we'll try to open one chapter here to support the people's learning. So once again, thank you very much, and see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time, and let's meet up with the new topic. Our new topic will be on offshore safety. So stay tuned. See you very soon. Take care. Allah Hafiz.